You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. That's the reason that you're here, because you tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore, known as the Ambassador of Joy. Notice I didn't say the Ambassador of Joy. The Ambassador of Joy. And you tuned in to this show for one reason and one reason only. It's a great reason, the best reason in the whole world, because you care the most, the entire world, about you, Y-O-U. And that's great, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And I want to say thank you to each one listening. Right now, there are over 515,000 people around the world that are listening, and you're always urging your family and friends to join. So by the time we bring on Matteo, there'll be over 520,000 people around the world listening. And I ask you to do the following for you and all the people that are listening. Share this with 5 people. You want to share it with 50 or 100? Great. Share it with at least 5 people so we can touch 2.5 million people with words that are positive and purposeful and powerful and pleasant, because that's why you're here. Because you know that we discuss on this show the 3 fundamentals of life. And when you use these 3 fundamentals, the result is you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? Now, the 3 fundamentals are, number 1, life. Your life has purpose. When you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. In this case, good number 2. You go mad. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. Lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And number 3 is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example, this show is carried over the internet. Ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, they say it has to do with the internet. And factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? W-H-A-T-A. And a big tip of the hat and a thank you to Louis Armstrong Satchmo for enabling that song, What a Wonderful World, to go viral and not just touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet who've heard the song and been touched by it. Every time you hear the opening bars of What a Wonderful World, what do you do right away? You can't help but smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you can internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right, seeing miracles in life every day. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. In the evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed from my neck down. And it wasn't because of an automobile accident. It wasn't a spinal injury. It was a rare disease, which I'd never heard of the day before. It took over my body and rendered me what's called quadriplegic. Paralyzed from the neck down. I can only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed in my own home for 2 years. I couldn't move. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips to my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. Can't walk up a curb by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, you hear my voice, positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, all because of one word. One word, smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you, I am privileged to speak to millions of people around the world with my 2 podcasts, The Joy of Living and Eye on Las Vegas. We reach millions of people every month. I really love speaking in person. So I live in Henderson, Nevada, right outside of Las Vegas. And recently I spoke to a group. There was one 127 people. And I'm telling the story about Barry Shore, about seeing miracles in life every day. Somebody raises their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been here for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water to drink? Do you have food to eat? A place to sleep? Do you have family? Do you have friends? Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof of that? Simple as proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or you're listening, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live life to the full, to live exuberantly. I want to tell you a quick story. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me recently and she said, 2 weeks ago, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile? S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her how come. She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, create is a beautiful acronym. It stands for causing, rethinking, enabling all to excel. You're going to learn about rethinking today from Matteo. It's going to shift your perspective. Now, shift is an amazing word. I've been working with people for more than half a century, helping and coaching and such. And when they come to me on paper, they look great, and then they start telling me about their life. And what they've done is they drop the F in shift, and the other stuff happens. You got to be careful with your Fs. You want to keep them in place. And when you shift your perspective just a little bit, what happens is you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine your path and your trajectory in life. Now, before we bring on wonderful Matteo, and you learn a lot about business and profit and valuation and all kinds of great stuff, I want to warn everybody, I do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word. I do it because there's shock value and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, play, free, gift, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right, F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friend, twinkle in your eyes, smile in your face, point your finger and say, F-U, everybody. You got their attention. Then you can share with them some of what you learned today. Now, some people in the audience raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. The world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. Fun is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So before we bring on wonderful Matteo, I'm going to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. And the result is you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Kind is a wonderful word that stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody right now that I want to share with you that inspires noble deeds more than wonderful Matteo Turi. Matteo, please say hello to 500 people around the world.
Thank you for having me, Barry. It's such a pleasure to be here today. Yes, we're living through one of the biggest shifts in economic history, effectively. And I was making, I was doing some thinking, some analyzing about what's going on in the world right now, because looking back at the past generation, 50 years ago, most of the value in businesses was actually mostly physical. Yeah. Well, today we made obviously quite a few studies on that. 90% of the value of the S&P 500 is intangible, and that means intellectual property, systems, data, leadership capability. So effectively, it's all the things that is not really anymore like machinery. It's like your brand. Your brand is becoming more and more important, which should fill us with joy, because there's a lot more creativity going around that creates value in business in general. And at the same time, we got this acceleration. Barry, go ahead. Sorry.
Let me put you on pause for a moment. Matteo, if I started telling you all the things that Matteo has accomplished and what he does, it would take the rest of the show. I'm going to give you 3 data points. Number 1, he is a CFO, and he's a valuation architect. Isn't that a great term? A valuation architect helps businesses do three things: scale, attract capital, and increase enterprise value. That's a wonderful thing. He's the author of a wonderful book, which we'll talk about, called Fail, Pivot, Scale. Did you hear that first word? Fail. Second word, pivot. Third word, scale. And he's also the creator of something which I really am fascinated by, which is the high valuation triangle. Also happens to be a wonderful fellow and married for 25 years, same woman. So that's one of the reasons why I like him also. So you jumped right in and you shared with everybody something, a remarkably important idea and concept. And we're not even going to go back 50 years. We're going to go back since the shutdown of COVID, which was 2020. Here we are, 2026. And I hope people will be watching this show 100 years from now. So in 6 years, I'm sorry, say it was 2020. In 6 years, we have experienced in business a remarkably dramatic tectonic shift in business. Is that safe to say?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have to say this, the high valuation triangle is effectively a product of a product that I really delivered to a university in 2017. We wanted to really answer a big question. Why do businesses fail even when it looks like, they are profitable, they're doing really well? So why they are not loved by customer, by banks, by investor? And why our education system really is so far away from entrepreneurs? And that's why in 2017, I created the high valuation triangle. Now, we're in 2026, but let me tell you this, in 2080, somebody will talk about the high valuation triangle, and he will find it absolutely a fundamental way to create a business that will be loved by customer, by investors, and by banks, because that's what was the real goal. And from 2017 really started really with that university effort. The high valuation triangle was delivered to a number of entrepreneurs, more than 200, until, as you said, COVID shut, because, we used to really do all this program in classrooms, and we never thought we were going to do it online, which we eventually started to do in 2024. And as of today, really, the high valuation triangle has become even more precious, because really what happened really in the last few years, we saw that artificial intelligence is actually accelerating the shift, is accelerating the need to use this high valuation triangle. Yet we saw recently last year that Gartner said the most really AI initiative will fail. 40%, they say. And the same, is said by everyone, really. Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, they all feel that AI initiative will fail, not because the technology fell, but because businesses, they are not professionalized, they are not structured enough, they don't have the right readiness, governance, and financial clarity, which is why the high valuation triangle was created. And from the high valuation triangle, the book Fail, People Scale, as you anticipated, was born. Why Fail, People Scale is because, that's our life. That's the cycle of life that we all go through. And that's how really a big businesses become bigger. That's how a business becomes successful. That the book really goes through with so many histories, so many situations that you see, so many examples. Even Apple was on the brink of bankruptcy one day, but even companies like Airbnb, companies like Slack, the companies like Lego, they went through a transformation because they decided to scale after they pivot. They pivot decisively, and they pivot after they failed. So it's a real cycle. It's not a slogan. It's something that we all go through, and it's also an encouragement for many people. Yeah.
One moment, Matteo. I want to put you on pause because the information is coming in so strong, like the fire hose. I want to unpack a few things for people. There were a couple of pieces that you mentioned here, And it's really critical to get the foundation, and then we'll talk about the triangle. So part of the foundation is understanding that there are three major players in any business. I don't care if you own a fruit stand or 1,000 fruit stands. The same principles apply. And those are, do customers love you? Do investors love you? And do banks love you? Because as much as we want to say, well, banks, who cares about them? We do. Banks provide great services. Without investors, you really don't have a business. I mean, you can build a business, you can make money, but we really want to attract investors because that enables one to pivot, fail, pivot, scale, etc. The most important, of course, is that customers love you. If customers love you, you actually have a chance of succeeding. Doesn't mean that you will succeed. However, I want to use these three, as you mentioned, customers, investors, and banks to bolster that which you're talking about in what we call, or you call, the high valuation triangle. So let's go back to fundamentals for the moment. In the triangle, which of course has three parts to it, what are the three essential parts of the triangle?
Yeah, the triangle is what builds a business that will effectively, will be chased by customer, will be chased by investor, will be chased by banks. So how do we do that? How do we achieve that recipe for success? First angle of the triangle is intellectual property. Now, intellectual property is what we all own, but unfortunately, many of us do not know how to make money out of it. And I'll give you an example. I was speaking to a consultant last year, and he created a really business, a very successful business that was actually loved by the customer, but it wasn't really monetizing properly the intellectual property because it was really delivering methods, very valuable methods to his customer, but it wasn't really valuing in the right manner. So it was more like, I'm selling my time so that I give a service, I give you some information. By natural fact, it was actually delivering transformation. And that transformation was delivered through a method that he was using all the time. So the shift that happens in so many people is instead of selling one-to-one, you actually decided that, you actually own a method that will allow you to sell your intellectual property to someone else effectively. So it's a totally different kind of shift. Now, we all own intellectual property. We all have our own unique manners, our unique system, our unique data. Intellectual property is not just a legal document. It's actually your data, your method, your ecosystem, the method you use that you created, and also your unique thinking. Now, this is where wealth creation really, really starts. And that's how we create a product that the customer will love, because we do not deliver just a product, we deliver value. I always say, if you sell on price, you will be replaced on price. The customer will leave you on price. If you sell on value, the customer will stay on value. So that's the concept of intellectual property. You decide really to deliver on value, and you calculate the economic benefit. You don't sell feature effectively, you sell the benefit. Yeah. When you sell the benefit, then the customer will love you. So that's the first really part of the high valuation triangle. Do you want me to continue with the second one?
Yes, I do. After this message, now we deliver value for our advertisers. We vet them. We wouldn't have them on. We didn't think they are value to you. So we're going to bring Matteo back right after this. Don't go away, because he is a wealth of information that's going to help you transform whatever you're doing, whether you have a business or your mindset. Be right back after this brief message. Don't go away.
Hey, quick pause. If something you just heard made you stop and think, don't let that moment pass, because that shift, that awareness, is the doorway to real joy. Barry Shore has put together a free ebook with simple, powerful strategies to help you live in joy every day. Go to barryshore.com and download your free copy now, because one small shift can change everything.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking, which I was looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance in wonderful Matteo Turi, and our cup runneth over with good. He's talking about value. And I want to emphasize one thing before we go to the second triangle in the triangle. We have a worldwide audience. And I talk about this, and it's interesting because Matteo's in London, comes from southern Italy, which is near Greece. And so we have a worldwide audience. Everybody in the audience thinks they want to live in America. You don't have to. What you wanted is what we call an American mindset. The American mindset is very much what Matteo is talking about and sharing with us. It's the ability to understand the distinctions between having a physical product that you're selling at a price and delivering value to people. When you are a value-based business, you can grow tremendously because what you have, people want. You become attractive and attractive to customers, to investors, to banks, etc. So Matteo is delivering remarkably powerful insights that affect everybody in the world, whether you live in America or not. Have the American mindset of how can I do business better? So now, Matteo, let's talk about the second angle in the high valuation triangle. The first is IP, which is not just a document called intellectual property. It's the value that you deliver to your customers. What's the second angle in the triangle?
Yeah, the second angle of the triangle, let's go with that, it's called succession planning or leadership depth. Now, that's where you create transferable value, because once you have identified what is going to make your business special, then you need to make sure that the value is transferable. Now, how do you make that value transferable to an investor? How do you convince a bank about the fact that the business can actually survive without you? Is through what you call leadership depth. And now I tend to use the example of football, because when you create your leadership team, you have to.
Matteo, let's have a little fun just for a moment. Ready? F-U. Yeah. So you use football. Now, we have an international audience. Are you talking soccer or are you talking American football? When you say football, what do you mean? You mean soccer?
You can choose your own sport. I mean, in general, you can actually, I will use the example of soccer, but many people will be able to relate to American football and rugby as well, and other sports as well. Yeah.
Okay, good. So now the ability.
So effectively, what we have is we have three main goals effectively with the leadership depth. So after you created your business and then you are in a position to expand or to scale it, effectively what you need to do, you need to change your own identity. When you were starting a business, you were controlling everything. Yeah. Now, control is what made it possible, okay, at the startup phase. But control is what makes it impossible in the scale-up phase. So you will actually, and this is a harsh truth, you will lose most of the value you created when you start a business if you do not make it transferable, in terms of value, in terms of, decision to be made, in terms of tasks to be executed. So let's come to sport now. Okay. So there are three main goals to be executed. Number one is to sell. Number two is to produce. Number three is to generate cash flow. Sounds very simple, but effectively what many businesses fail to do is to really create three leaders. One is the attacking force, which could be in football, the one who scores goals. Soccer, in terms of American football, you can imagine the attacking force, the ones that really make sure that the points count at the end of the game. So that's the salesperson effectively. Then we got back on the back we have the production, which is called, you have to produce. Now this is where you have an operation leader. Let's call it the operation director, who moves the ball around. It will ensure that you're gonna have a chance to score, but it's also gonna make sure that he or she gonna make sure, obviously, that there will be operation running smoothly behind the goal scoring talent, effectively. So we got, this is called the midfield in football, in soccer, and it's the operation director in business. Now on the back we have the CFO, the finance director, who is going to ensure that the value is protected, and you're not going to let in as many goal to be scored effectively that you're going to score instead. So effectively what you're going to have with the finance team, the finance leader, you're going to have generation of cash flow. Because if you do not generate cash flow, clearly whatever chance you have to score, whatever chance you have to make that scoring possible, is going to effectively be wasted, because you will have conceded too many goals. Now, the football at the stadium, they are the customer, yeah? Because they pay for the ticket. Ideally, they pay every week to watch the game. And so they will cheer every time you score a goal. And so when you score a goal, it's like, you made a big sell, or let's say you've also created a new product, and the customer, the fans of the stadium, will come back over and over again. The founder is the coach. So you're no longer playing on the field. You are the coach. So this is how you really do succession planning with the high valuation triangle.
So let me unpack a few things here. For me, I'm going to use your language. So I had the privilege of being involved in a very famous football club a number of years ago, 1997. I had built a company that was revolutionizing the delivery of information through a particular mechanism. The internet was just beginning, and I was working with a sport team called Man U. Now, Man U, to most people in the world, actually in America means less, but the rest of the world, everybody knows Man U. That's Manchester United. And I'll tell you one quick story about brand and value. So I was, as I said, I was privileged to be in Manchester. I took a tour of the stadium behind the scenes with one of the limited partners of the owners. It was really a big gig. And I was traveling the world with my service at the time, which was delivering value of information. And I was in Hong Kong, and with showing some potential investors this revolutionaries idea that we're working with, and we delivered. And for them, all they care about was, wait a minute, you mean we can get the information and the scores about Man U and all other details on the spot, and, delivered over the internet through something called a fax machine, electronically delivered? I mean, it's hard to say it now because people say fax, what the heck is that? Well, this is just fax. In those days, 1997 was bigger than email. Email was just beginning. So the point is that I was in Hong Kong, and there people were dedicated Man U fans, right? So talk about value and brand and people following. That's the dedication you want for whatever business you're building. Is that fair to say, Matteo? That's the kind of brand you want to build?
Yeah, absolutely. You made the point so brilliantly, I have to say, yeah. And it's when the stage at which, unfortunately, too many businesses fail is so painful, because I want to emphasize on this, because really what is so painful and it's so unnecessary to see when you have a business that is already started to exist, it's already got a product. It's unfortunately what we call control obsession, which was spoiled many businesses. And we all lose when that happens. That's why education should be open to everyone, because when a business fails in that particular situation, we all lose because jobs will go, the products will go, and it's so unnecessary and painful because the business has already started to operate. It's already got sales, it's already got a product, it's already got customer. The last thing you want it to happen is for that to fail. And so that's why this part of the triangle is so fundamental for many to understand.
I want to unpack, and then I'm going to use another U word. You said something that is just so important, Matteo. It's unnecessary for a business to fail when it has a lot of positives. Part of the reason it fails is what we call the human condition. Control, not understanding, not educated, not bringing in Matteo and understanding the possibilities, and therefore it hurts too many people. It's unnecessary, as you said beautifully. Let's talk about the third angle in the triangle. So we have the first one is the IP, the value. The second one, as you said, is the leadership and the ability to transfer value and leadership. What is the third one?
Yeah, the third one is where you become even more loved by investors and banks. So after you created your IP, after you created a leadership team, and you are delivering the business in your country, what else is left for you to increase the value and be loved even more by investor? You go global. Now, today in AI-driven economies, that's actually even more important because knowledge really does not have any boundary. So that becomes even more fundamental for many. So you need to start thinking global the moment you start doing business. Now, what we see, the lessons that we see from the biggest household name in businesses is that usually when they go global, they use a very important word, which is called leverage. What is leverage? Usually leverage comes from the first angle of the triangle, which is intellectual property. There are several ways to go global, and the wrong way to do it is to rebuild everything as if you have to start all over again. Like, for example, I need to open a new office, I need to open a new manufacturing center in another country. That's not the way to go global. There are 4 ways in which you can actually, monetize your intellectual property better when you cross your border. One is a big group, which, there could be thousands and thousands of examples here. It's called partnership or joint venture, where you really match yourself. You find someone who's going to really, make your business fly. Example, Nike as a very successful business will create a partnership with so many other distributors all over the world. Or it could be another way to look at this, how it works all the time. Is Starbucks, they do joint venture as well. So there are thousands of ways to do partnership with other businesses. So you find the right partners in the right country, and then you start to monetize your intellectual property faster and faster through leverage. The second way is through distribution. We can see that all the time with businesses like Gillette. For example, if you have to really ship your product to another country, you don't just reinvent the manufacturing in that country. You create a distribution. The third one is licensing, where you give someone the license to sell your product in another country. The fourth one is franchising. Franchising is the most complicated one because you have to effectively clone a system. However, nowadays with artificial intelligence, we're going to see more and more sophistication of that. So businesses who really start today, they need to start thinking global immediately. And what global means to an investor is much high value. Because if for example, if I'm in Europe, I'm coming to the USA and want to buy a business and I go $2 billion in my pocket, am I going to really invest in a business that is already present in USA, Australia, and Europe? Or am I going to just invest in a business that is got just, a couple of states in the USA when it comes to presence? Of course, I'm going to value the business a lot higher when you got presence in a number of countries. And that's really the third part of the triangle. So if you do all three of them, effectively the three of them, they will not just add up, they compound with each other. So it's not like 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. Here we're talking about intellectual property.
1 + 1 + 1 is actually 111.
Okay, that becomes 111.
Let me put you on pause for a moment and unpack a few things. So I'm going to say something that was very funny. So Matteo and I spoke just a few minutes before we went on, and he told me where he was raised in southern Italy, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump from Greece. And we're talking about what was thousands of years ago, Greater Greece, in a particular city called Syracuse, lived an amazing man named Archimedes. So everybody should look up Archimedes, Archimedes, Archimedes. Because when you talk about Archimedes, a great scientist and such, he was really the father of what we call leverage. Matter of fact, he had a great quote attributed to him: "Give me a lever and a fulcrum, and I'll move the world." Am I right, Matteo? So
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Leverage. Actually, sometimes people, they say age matters, and I call it lever age.
Ooh, lever age. Very good. By the way, doesn't matter what age you are in business. You could be 21, you could be 71. If you know how to lever age, then everything is possible. But I want to unpack a few things you said, Matteo, because they're so critical. Number one, I don't care if you're starting what we call a startup today. Doesn't matter what it is. You need to be thinking global from the outset. Now, that is so different than even 20 years ago. 20 years ago, yes, there was something called artificial intelligence. Nobody really knew what it was. Okay, play around, AI is so fundamental to our world today, and it's only in its infancy. Now, I'm going to tell you something, Matteo, you might like a lot. AI, I speak about it very often. For me, AI stands for always improving. That's my AI, always improving. I think it works with the high valuation triangle. The other thing I want to mention too is as an example or examples to what you've shared with us on the high valuation triangle is the place I live. I'm resident in a place called Henderson, Nevada. Henderson, Nevada is 17 miles away from what people call the Las Vegas Strip. And in the world, when you mention two words, Las Vegas, people lean in, open up their ears and their eyes, say, tell me more. Las Vegas as a brand is global. And some of the hotels here, they're not hotels. See, I'm using incorrect because they don't want to be seen that way. They don't want to be seen as hotels. They don't want to be seen as casinos. They understand that they have a brand that transcends those limiting words. Am I correct on that, Matteo? A lot of the people who either are founders or leadership leaders now in these unique names understand a lot of the high valuation triangle. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely fair. I was actually going to say this because this is why the high valuation triangle is so important today, and it will be important for the next generation as well, 50 years from now. Now, many people say artificial intelligence is like the new electricity. Now, but electricity without a grid is dangerous because it causes fire, it causes incident, it causes accident. The high valuation triangle is your grid to ensure that artificial intelligence will travel well with like electricity. And I'll give you an entertaining comparison between really the high valuation triangle and electricity. Now, intellectual property acts a bit like the electricity generator, yeah? So you need to generate electricity before you can actually channel it into the right direction. Succession planning, leadership, depth is like the transformer, the electricity transformer, because, yeah, you need leadership. You need ownership, then you need leadership as well. And then last but not least, the global markets are like the transmission line for the electricity. Because guess what? Electricity that doesn't travel is useless. So you need to make sure that global markets are the way in which you distribute your product. Make sure they travel to the right customer in the right parts of the world. So yeah, this is something that is an entertaining comparison, but it makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
I am so interested and leaning in and loving what you're saying. I happen to be a big fan of electricity. We'll talk about it right after this break. Don't go away. We wouldn't even have these sponsors. We didn't think they're worthy of your time and attention. There's more Matteo, and he's really part of what you want to learn from. So be right back. Don't go away. More Matteo after this.
Hey, quick pause. If something you just heard made you stop and think, don't let that moment pass. Because that shift, that awareness, is the doorway to real joy. Barry Shore has put together a free ebook with simple, powerful strategies to help you live in joy every day. Go to barryshore.com and download your free copy now, because one small shift can change everything.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so I was looking for it, finding the good. We found good in abundance. His name is Matteo Turi, and he has authored one of the most important books you'll ever touch if you're doing anything in business. And again, I don't care if you own a fruit stand or 1,000 of them. High valuation triangle applies to every business, especially in today's world. We're a world where you are global from the moment you open your store. I don't care if you're man, woman, what it is that you have. When you begin to understand and think the way Matteo is talking to us about what IP really is, about leadership, about succession, about leverage. And now he's giving us analogy for electricity. I'm just going to share with you two things, if I may, Matteo, before we begin. And that is, I had created a little acronym for your name. May I share that with you?
go ahead. I'm really curious about this.
MATTEO, making awareness tactical, transformational, energizing opportunity.
Unforgettable for me. Unforgettable. I'll never forget this in my life,
Yes, well, that's why you're doing. Now, I'm going to share with you the famous phrase from Thomas Alva Edison, who was one of the founders of the world of electricity. And he said, as much as he enjoyed inventing the light bulb and electricity to move through it and such, he said, that was not my greatest invention. My greatest invention was the ability to calculate how much energy, how much electricity was used to people so I could charge for it.
Interesting. Well, yeah, that's exactly, eventually,
That's what you're talking about now. That's what you're talking about now. The transformer, the AI, and if it's just out there, well, that's random. What you want to be able to do is direct it in such a way that you can channel it, charge for it, understand it, and all the attributes of it. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Without the grid, the electricity will create fires. It will create accidents. It will actually kill lives. So the high valuation triangle is your grid. That's what you need so that the electricity will travel in the right way, and that's how artificial intelligence will generate value in your business. Because let's face it, without a grid, without a structure, artificial intelligence will actually create additional problem to your business. And that's not me saying that. That's Goldman Sachs, that's McKinsey, that's Gartner. They're all concur on that. Unfortunately, many businesses are not AI ready. And why does this conversation matter today? It matters even more because investor will only put money into your business. That's what is happening already. If you are AI ready, if you are investor ready. Now, because we live in a very unprecedented moment in our financial history, in the next 48 months, there will be an unprecedented $10 extra trillion of private capital looking for businesses like you, looking for businesses that are going to be investable. If you do not really create the right structure in your business, that capital will not come to you. Capital is abundant, but is also very selective. So you need to really, that's why this book matters so much today. That's why this system matters so much today, but it will matter for the next generation too as well.
So this is wonderful. Capital is abundant and selective. It's really important for people to understand that what you're saying is fundamentally true. It has always been this way, by the way. Capital is always abundant. It's always seeking opportunity. That's the nature of capital. It only exists to grow. That's its role. At the same time, it must be selective. And in a world that is dominated by AI, it's not that one just says, well, I will integrate it into my business. That's not sufficient. I think, Matteo, what you're sharing with us today is that a business that is not, let's put it in the positive, a business is global from inception. It's thinking about what its value is. It's thinking about its role beyond the founder and the creator. It's thinking about all the aspects of leverage, whether one or all four of them apply. It's thinking about these things at the time when it's beginning so that it really becomes attractive to capital. You don't have to chase capital. You can become attractive to capital. Is that correct?
Yeah, you need to become a magnet for capital. Because let's say this, capital is water. It flows to the lowest risk and the clearest structure.
It's beautiful. So we've just talked about two of the fundamental aspects of life, water and electricity. And it sounds so ancient, and it is. It's also the moment. And as Matteo said so eloquently, the next 48 months, think of that. He didn't say 4 years, because years sound longer. 48 months, which will go by very quickly. The next 48 months are going to see a fundamental shift in many businesses and industries. And the beauty of this is right now, as I said, I want people to listen to this 100 years from now. However, in the next 48 years, you'll be referencing 48 years. The next 48 months, you'll be referencing this particular podcast a number of times and say, hey, I heard Matteo on Barry Shaw's show, and he was right. Of course he's right. That's why I have him on. Thank you, Matteo, for being here. We're so happy. Again, everything you want to know about Matteo is in the show notes, the book, everything about it. So just access. And the people the reason we record this is so you can listen again. And if you're really, really clever, you'll listen the third time, and you really get a lot of benefit from it. So I'm sorry to say these words, Matteo, we're coming to a close on our time together. I have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready?
Go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Number 1, will you come back again?
Definitely I will. I can't wait to come back again to you, Barry.
Thank you, Matteo. Number 2, wonderful, Matteo. You have only 80 seconds to answer this question. What is your most fervent desire?
Oh, wow. 80 seconds. Well, my most fervent desire is to, is to really generate, as much wealth as possible for people through this book, which is Felt People Scale. Felt People Scale is not a slogan. It's a cycle. It's a cycle that we all encounter in our life. And it's not just about money, to be honest with you. It's all about encouragement. I think, we underestimate the power of self-discovery. Self-discovery is what makes us eventually happy, in my view, in our life. Because the more we discover ourselves, the more we enjoy life, and the more we develop self-esteem, the more we develop self-determination. And now self-determination is what makes us not just successful, but it makes us loved, it makes us wanted, it gives a sense of belonging, and it gives us really the power that we want to have within ourselves to really be what we want to be. Yeah.
The word self-determination. Determination is one of the greatest nations in the world. We have ability to live there. Determination. Live in that world. And number 3, Matteo, may I give you a hug in front of 522,811 people around the world. Let me tell you what HUG stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. The joy of living with your humble host, Barry Shaw, the ambassador of joy. Our wonderful guest, Matteo. I want to make mention, everybody, this show is not about Matteo, great guy that he is, or Barry Shaw, fabulous fellow. It's about you becoming the best you, because when you are the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love. And remember, 3 fundamentals of life. Number 1, life has purpose. Lead a purpose-driven life. You go mad. Number 3 is unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words of terms. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. As my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. And create the kind of world you want to live in. Causing rethinking. Listen to Matteo. Rethinking. Enabling all to excel. You can shift your perspective. Keep that F in place. The other stuff happens. You choice, not chance, determines your destiny. And you use a lot of 4-letter words, but the ones we use are love, life, hope, play, free, gift, and tell the world to F you. Remember to add right away, capital N, smile on your face, twinkle in your eye, get people's attention. Say, where'd you get that? I said, I was listening to Barry Shaw, and wait till I tell you what I learned from Matteo. The high valuation triangle. It happens in everybody's life, especially in your business. So I'm going to give a blessing from Matteo and Barry. And the blessing is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Matteo, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.